I'm gonna share my screen with you guys. So, disclaimer, real quick, before I actually show this. So, super disclaimer, I actually like watching Asmongold. just so everybody knows. And I love both WoW and FF14. So big disclaimer, I'm not picking on anybody when I watch this video. I have no idea what to expect. All I know is that the video is in a Weeb game and it literally has Asmon's face on it. So I'm pretty sure it's probably going to be somebody picking on Asmon about picking on 14. But the idea is that everybody said this was really good, so I'm gonna watch it with you guys. Just because I thought it would be fun. And it was linked to me like 6 times, so I was like, well, fuck it. If I keep forgetting to watch it, we'll just watch it on stream. So, yeah. Super disclaimer. Alright. And hopefully this will be loud enough for you guys to hear. Let me see. Oop. Let me know if this is loud enough. Who watches the Watchers? I do.
Do all
Is
people
14
who eat
for
their popo
weebs?
really enjoy it? Nice. Do game developers tend to shit on fans' ideas and wishes while pushing out their own agenda?
Is there any
Yes, they
plan
do.
to make this playable on PC, or is this strictly mobile forever?
Are there any? The current plan is to be
Oh.
on mobile, both.
I felt so
Android
bad for this guy when this
and
happened,
iOS.
because nobody
We
really
don't have
understands
any
what
plans
exactly
at the
happened. I'll
moment
talk to you guys about this
to,
after this.
PC.
I do need to turn it up? Alright, hold on one second. I'll talk to you guys about that after this, because a lot of people don't really actually understand what happened that day. With BlizzCon and the whole, the Diablo Immortal and everything like that. Nobody really gets it, so we'll discuss it after this. I know. Alright. Is this loud enough?
Do you guys not have phones?
Yeah, you guys all have phones, right?
And do most raid leaders go way too far with their explanation before even trying the boss?
Ready, guys?
Let's do this. Leroy Jenkins!
Oh my god, he just ran in.
While many of these prejudices are true,
That was
others
fake,
have been
though.
established and developed over the years, mostly by the simple absence of knowledge and experience. So let us delve into the common perception of Final Fantasy XIV's player base being weeps. And impartially said, weeps or weeaboos are described as people who take their enjoyment of Japanese culture a bit too far. And while I personally don't have any issues with that, this mostly transposes a negative tone, and I want to clear things up with this video. So let me show you where this discussion has been brought back to life, or why this is still a relevant topic. Which directly leads us to Mr. Asmongold and his community. For those of you who may have never heard of him, he's one of the most
Mr.
popular World of Warcraft
Asmongold.
streamers that
Okay.
impersonates a character he established by himself and creates influence over a vast audience that feels home in the WoW-centered but also widespread MMO sector. No matter if you like or hate him, we cannot deny the fact that comments of a streamer with a superior quantified audience than some game developers have on their live streams will in fact have a significant impact onto the subjects they are
His
talking
hair looks
about.
a lot better
so
now.
here's what
He
Asmongold
cut it.
said while reacting to a video that a famous creator of our community made when
I
she
didn't
lost her
realize
passion
that
with
my
WoW
cam
and
was over
transferred
him,
it
though.
into the
Hold on.
Final Fantasy XIV universe.
So the cat girl thing, I'm not sold on the cat girl thing, okay? Like, that's kind of... This right here, I'm really... It's super hard for me to say... I'll put the video, right? It's super hard for me to say that it's not a weeb game, you know what? Is this game for weebs? Is this game full of weebs? Yeah, that's probably a good way to look at it, I would say.
Yeah, that's better.
Truly,
That's a better
a
way
game
to
being
put it. That
produced by
not
a
everybody
Japanese
that plays the
developer
game is a
cannot hide
weeb,
from
but
its
there
cultural
are
background
weebs
and
that
all
play
the
it.
side effects this brings with.
There are
But to
some
be fair,
there,
that can
but
be
not
said
everybody
about
that
any
plays
game,
it
any
is-
piece of art, music, or whatever your ambitious cerebrum can produce. And
I
surely
hope he
those
does.
people with a high
I hope he does.
sensitivity
I
for
really
Japanese
do.
culture, animes, or video game history
actually
will likely connect
actually
to these
really like his
circumstances,
content.
and they will joyfully embrace combining their taste on MMOs with this Japanese context, where Final Fantasy XIV definitely is among the most popular and one, if not the most well received in addition to that. Okay, we have Mikotis, which are the cat girls in Final Fantasy XIV
And
that
they're
are
cute!
linked to anime culture or anything like that. But while not being a hardcore manga or anime enthusiast, I honestly cannot remember where I have seen catgirls in the latest anime I watched. These are primarily taking place in high schools or universities, so I could also come around with, hey student Sarah, you're at high school, right? Oh, that's some weird anime shit you're running there. And above that, did you check out allied races, dear Asmongold? These can easily be put into the fun with furries sector.
Oh my god,
and
he's calling
anything
him
we have in
out!
Final Fantasy XIV. And while we still have potatoes, aka Lalafell, WoW had gnomes since the first day that looked
I wasn't
easily as
expecting
goofy
that.
and stupid as you would imagine a Lalafell to be.
But
and damn,
to be
at
fair,
least our potatoes are
to be
animated
fair,
cutely,
he
and
doesn't
not like
play.
Super Mario that has lost
He
some
doesn't
chromosomes
play.
that he actually never had. But truth to be told, there's definitely some coherent attraction to Final Fantasy XIV's world and content. That you may stumble over
He
the one
doesn't
or the
play
other
the
Japan maniac.
foxes.
But
Why
honestly,
can I not think
in
of their name
general,
right
that
now?
is not
Volpera. He
harmful
doesn't
in
play
any
a
way, as
Volpera.
sharing the passion for something is good, right? And on the other side, discontent is also able to connect people. Like Asmongold said many times, the best about the WoW
It is
community
a really
is
cute
the
glam.
fact that they merge into a swarm cluster when it comes to bashing the shit out of the game they play. So even hate can create company. And while I don't consider weeps as a threat to the Final Fantasy community or their public image and self-reflection, my guesses are that another very special feature about Final Fantasy XIV attracts them. And this is actually something I would support to 100%, namely a good story, which is the defining factor that separates anime from the usual Vampire Diaries. Sorry girls, but if you want a good vampire story, check out Hellsing or Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Did he really
and while
just
I don't
pick
like
on-
having the focus on
he just
teenagers
picked on,
fighting
like,
demons with magical
people's
powers while
preferences
learning
of
for their high school
freaking
diploma,
shows
the plot
and
and presentation
manga.
of some anime movies or
What?
series are way ahead of the usual Hollywood nonsense. So it's more likely the character development, plot presentation and connectivity to the world you are deeply related with that draws the line between Final Fantasy and anime, which is the driving force for these so-called weeps. That brings us to the number one tip and conclusion on this topic. Always encounter people with limited focus on your personal stage of prejudice.
Until like season
Because
4. I've
even
never
the
watched
craziest
it. I've read the
weeb
books
can
though.
be the nicest guy you will ever meet in your life or in game. If you don't talk shit about his anime, of course. But it could happen. So never generalize
He could
these
be the
aspects
nicest
onto
guy you
each
could ever meet
person
if you
to
don't
avoid
talk
the
shit
creation
about
of
his
biased
anime.
injustice. By the way, here in Germany, not all people are Nazis, okay? Just in fact you didn't know that. So whatever kind of person
Did
you
he
are,
really
weep,
just say
neckbeard,
that?
or Mr. Star Trek wedding, whenever you're passionate about something, go for it. And don't let others ruin that enjoyment, as long as you're not ruining theirs with your fanatism. And for those of you that can only encounter those people with anger and disgust, remember, there are two things a person should never be angry at. What they can help,
I don't talk
and
shit
what they
about
cannot.
anime.
So thank you guys for watching, and I hope I can help you with some Final Fantasy content in the future or in another video.
Okay.
But of course, if you want to talk with me about
Alright,
Plato,
so
Kant,
we're
or
gonna go back
Asmongold,
and we're gonna-
check me out on Twitch for all sorts of
I've
Final Fantasy
never
content.
talked shit about the
Until
UK.
then,
I just
stay
said I
safe,
didn't like
stay
tea.
healthy, and keep loving Final Fantasy.
Okay, so we're gonna go back and look at a couple of things because I actually do have a couple of qualms. So right here, yeah, it does kind of look like a setup. So right here, he talks about like Asmon saying that, or like picking on the fact that there's cat girls in game and stuff, and that obviously if there's cat girls, there are obviously weebs in the game, right? But at the same time, like when he was talking about this video, when he was going over all of this Epla stuff, he was like super sweet. Like he was kind of weirded out that she had the fat cat behind her, which was like the she has the fat cat like plushie. But he never once was actually rude about the video. And what was actually kind of funny was people in his chat. So you guys can see his chat up here on the right. And people in his chat were actually being really rude about her. They were like being complete dicks, and he actually shut them down and was like, guys, this isn't what we're doing. We're actually like paying attention to this video. So he didn't once call her a weeb, nor did he pick on weebs, regardless of if she's a girl or not. It doesn't matter. It's a weeb thing and a furry thing. Well, yeah, so that's what...
With
so
a superior
this portion.
quantified
So we're gonna
audience
listen to
than
this
some
again.
game developers have on their live streams, will in fact have a significant impact onto the subjects they are talking about. So here's what Asmongold said while reacting to a video that a famous creator of our community made when she lost her passion with WoW and transferred it into the Final Fantasy XIV universe.
So the cat girl thing, I'm not sold on the cat girl thing, okay?
Like he
that's
really
kind of-
takes this out of context, is what I'm saying.
This right here, I'm really...
Right.
It's super hard for me to
Which
say.
is why I
I'll put
prefer the
video,
YouTube
right?
content
It's
rather
super
than
hard
the
for me to
stream.
say that it's not a weeb game, you know what? Is this game for weebs? Is this game full of weebs? Yeah, that's
But it
probably a
makes
good
more
way to look
sense
at
to
it, I would
actually say that it's
Surely a game being produced by a
full
Japanese
of weebs
developer
than a game
cannot
full
hide
of
from its
weebs.
cultural
And then there's the
background.
other portion where he's talking about the Volpera in the game. So he picks on the cat girls. And then
allied races,
this
dear
guy goes on to
Asmongold,
say that one
these
of the
can
allied
easily be
races
put
is the
into
Volpera.
fun with furries sector than anything we have in Final Fantasy XIV.
Well, A,
and while we still have potatoes, aka
those, like,
Lalafell,
aren't as
WoW had
humanoid
known since the first
as
day
cat
that look
girls.
easily as goofy and stupid
B,
as you would imagine a Lalafell to be.
Asmon doesn't
And
play
damn,
a
as these
Volpera.
potatoes
And
are
C,
animated
most of the
cutely
people
and
that
not like
actually
Super
play
Mario that
Horde
has
don't
lost
even
some
like that
chromosomes
Volpera
that you
are an
actually
allied
never
race.
had. But truth to be told, there's definitely some
Hey,
coherent attraction to
Stoli!
Final Fantasy XIV's world
You
and
can be a
content
cat girl if you
that
want.
You may
In
stumble
real
over
life,
the
sure,
one
why
or
not?
the other Japan maniac.
And not
But
to like
honestly,
super
in
nitpick at
general,
this, I'm
that is
just
not
saying
harmful
that like
anyway, as sharing
a
the
lot of the
passion
stuff
for
that he's saying
something
is
is good,
justified.
right? And
Like
on
I
the
don't want
other
people
side,
picking on
this
my game
content is
either.
also able
But
to
at the same
connect people.
time,
Like
because
Asmongold said
I have a
many
lot of fun
times,
playing
the best about
14,
the WoW
and I've met a lot of
community
really
is the
cool people
fact
playing
that they merge
14.
into a swarm
But at the same
cluster when it
time,
comes to
you
bashing the
can't
shit
attack
out of the
something
game they
that
play. So even hate
that a
can create
player
company.
doesn't
And while I
actually
don't consider
do in
Weebs
their
as a
game.
threat to the
You know what I
Final Fantasy
mean?
community or their public image and self-reflection,
That's
my
true, he
guesses
does play
are that another
humans.
very
Humans are
special
rotten
feature
apples.
about Final Fantasy
Okay,
XIV attracts
cool.
them. And this is actually something I would support to 100%, namely a good story which
So then
is
the
the
other
defining
thing is
factor
here,
that separates
when he
anime
talks
from
about
the
the
usual
story.
Vampire
So
Diaries.
yeah,
Sorry
one of the
girls,
big things
but if you
is
want a
that
good vampire
14
story, check out
has
Hellsing
amazing
or
story,
Bram
right?
Stoker's Dracula.
And
while I
14
don't
forces
like
you
having
to
the
play the
focus on
story before you can
teenagers
do
fighting
endgame
demons with
content, which
magical
I think
powers
is
while learning for their high school diploma,
it
the plot and
differs with the
presentation of
player
some anime
because
movies
like
or
if you're
series
playing
are
WoW,
way
a lot
ahead
of people
the
really
usual
love the WoW
Hollywood
lore,
nonsense.
but 90%
So
of the
it's
lore
more
for WoW
likely
is
the
outside of the
character
game.
development, plot
You have to like read the
presentation,
novels,
and connectivity
but
to the
most
world you are
of the
deeply related
people,
with. That
most of
draws
the
the line
player
between
base
Final
for
Fantasy
WoW
and anime,
doesn't
which is the
necessarily
driving
really
force
like
for
the
these
lore, except
so-called
for
weeps. That brings
like
us to the
anything
number
to
one
do with
tip and
Arthas or
conclusion
Ice
on this
Crown
topic.
because that was freaking
Always
amazing.
encounter people
So
with limited
they don't
focus on
care
your
that that
personal
stuff
stage
isn't
of
in the
prejudice.
game.
Because even the craziest
So you
weeb
can't
can
really
be the nicest guy you will ever
can't
meet in
really
your life or in
compare
game,
the
if you
two
don't
games
talk
by
shit
saying
about
which
its
one
enemy, of
is
course. But it
is
could
better
happen.
in that
so never
sense,
generalize these
in my
aspects onto
opinion.
each person to avoid the creation of biased
Right,
interests.
and 14
By
is the
way,
first FF
here in
MMO
Germany,
ever, so
not all people
they're
are
trying
Nazis,
this out. I
okay?
cannot believe
Just
he
in
says
fact, you
this
didn't
about
know
Nazis,
that.
by the
So
way.
whatever kind of person you are, weeb, neckbeard, or Mr. Star Trek Wedding, whenever you're
Wait,
passionate
what?
about something,
I missed that the first time. Did he just say weeb, neckbeard, or Trekkie?
in your life or in game. If you don't talk shit about his enemy, of course. But it could happen. So never generalize these
Is that what he
aspects
just
onto
said?
each person to avoid the
Right,
creation of biased
FF11. I forgot about
injustice.
FF11.
By the way, here in Germany, not all people are Nazis, okay? Just in fact you didn't know that. So whatever kind of person you are, weeb, neckbeard, or Mr. Star Trek Wedding, whenever you're
Weeb,
passionate about
neckbeard, or
something,
Mr.
go
Star
for it.
Trek
And
Wedding.
don't let
I've
others
seen more
ruin that
Star Wars
enjoyment,
weddings than
as long
Star
as you're
Trek
not
weddings,
ruining
but
theirs
yeah, he's onto
with your
something for sure.
fanatism. And for those of you that can only encounter those people with anger and disgust,
By
remember,
it is going
there
more
are two
story.
things a person
Absolutely.
should never be angry
Which
at.
is going
What
to
they
be
can
something where a lot of people from 14, especially with the way that they've been staggering content because of everything that's going on with the virus, so everything's been like delayed. If Shadowlands is supposed to come out next month, so if it comes out and there isn't new 14 content, and they don't have like a patch right around that time, which they've been doing a lot, they've been having a lot of competition, so they've been releasing like major patches at the same time. They like released WoW released like a major patch and had an announcement when 14 had Shadowbringers come out. But if, yeah, coincidence, but it's not a coincidence at all. But if they release Shadowlands and there isn't a competitive patch for 14 that comes out around the same time, because of the things that they're doing with the new story and the dialogue that they're adding into WoW, by seeing everybody swap from WoW to 14 because they weren't happy about BFA, some people who have played 14 that have either A, never played WoW, or came over to 14 from World of Warcraft will check out that expansion because they're excited to see what story they're actually trying to put in the game. Like with everything, like the possibility of seeing stuff with Uther, the possibility of Arthas coming back. There have been people who have watched the other, a lot of the other stuff that think that Garrosh is coming back. All of the theory crafting around Vol'jin. So it's definitely a possibility that people, if there isn't a major content patch for 14 around the same time, that people will go back to WoW. Not for long, but possibly just to see like what they're doing. I mean, but they're taking a lot. Oh yeah, oof, that line though, that line. Right, but is Eureka and the grindiness of Eureka going to be a content patch that makes people want to stay rather than check out what story they're actually going to have in game for WoW, since it's not normally something that they do. That's all. I mean, and some people won't. Some people won't go back to it. I'm just saying that it's all strategy. Like, that's why it's coming out so quickly. Regardless of if the game is even ready on release, that's why they're putting it out. Because they know that the content for 14 is going to be stagnant in October. Oh, that's true. I should check it out. Good content? Are you being silly or are you being serious? Because my chat trolls me something fierce. So I will check out the video if it's legit. Spoiler, it won't be ready. No, absolutely not. I don't expect it to be ready, actually. Yeah, and that's the other thing too, Edge. You're absolutely right. So most people do. They zerg it, they finish it in a week. Like, I was actually just talking about this earlier, where I've had people DM me before stream and be like, I'm sorry, Zan, I'm not going to be around for your stream, or I'm not going to be around to help you out with, like, the content that you're doing right now, because I'm taking a break until the next patch. Now, there's going to be, you know, the relic stuff, but the next major patch, right, isn't going to be until, what, 5.35? And 5.35 isn't coming out until some point in October, but we don't necessarily know when, if it's going to be on time. Now, I'm not putting it down at all, because I'm excited about it. I'm going to be playing... 14 is going to be my main game. Like, I'm definitely going to try out Shadowlands. I'm going to be raid leading in Shadowlands. And I'm going to be able to stream both, so you guys can see both, because I'll be doing the whole full-time thing. But one of the things... Shut up, Drew. Seriously? Oh, by the way, can you do, like, weekends from, like, 7 to 10? Totally forgot to ask you. I thought I had your number, but I don't. Sure? Okay. Yeah. Either one. I haven't fully decided yet. Also, 14 doesn't care. No, I'm not saying that they should care at all. And I'm not saying that it's going to be a detriment to the game. And I'm not saying that they'll lose population. I'm just saying that it still is a business tactic. Like, that's why they're doing it this way. Aren't really competitors? No, that's not. I don't mean it in that sense. I mean it in the sense of just player base. Like, not even necessarily competition. Just forget I said the word competition at all. Just people are going to want to check out Shadowlands just to see what lore they actually have in the game, regardless of if people hate Blizzard, regardless of if people hate Blizzard Activision, regardless of anything. I think it'd be cool if he did a Diablo crossover. I think it'd be cool if they ever did a WoW crossover. Do I think that Blizzard's ever going to agree to it? No! Not at all. Not at all. Usually at the same time as other... Yeah, exactly. Because they're trying to do it in a strategic manner. That's all I was trying to say. Never trusting Activision again. But we are going to go back and we're going to show this. Because he does bring this up. So we're going to look at this right here.
Strictly mobile.
So we're going to watch this again, and then I'll tell you guys about what actually happened. Because a lot of people don't know about what happened.
The current plan is to be on mobile, both Android and iOS. We don't have any plans at the moment to do PC.
Okay. So this poor guy. Did everybody... Okay, but how many of you actually watched this BlizzCon? How many of you watched this presentation? There are a couple of crossovers that I think would be cool. You should totally say it. You did? Okay. So for the people that didn't watch it, for the people that didn't actually watch it, here's what happened. The mobile games were ending up being really, really, really big. I'm not defending it. I'm not defending it at all. I'm defending this guy. Yeah. And not even necessarily, I'm not condoning what he said. I'm saying that he was put in a really bad situation, and instead of taking it with a grain of salt and just waiting until the presentation was over, he retaliated, which he should not have done, but he still was put in a really bad situation. Exactly. Thank you, Drew. Thank you. So, For those of you who didn't watch it and have only seen the memes, don't you guys have phones, blah, blah, blah. So mobile games were like really, really, really becoming like really big in China. China's really big for Blizzard, obviously. You guys have heard about all of the shit that's gone on recently. So they were making, you know, their new Diablo game on mobile. They still were talking about having, no, I know they still are, but just for this circumstance. They were still in talks and in development of D4. They just weren't telling anybody about it. So they came out, this poor guy is the PR person at this very moment, is the person who's supposed to come out and tell everybody about this mobile game. Full knowing that everybody plays on PC. Everybody has these super ridiculous gaming rigs that they spent a ton of money on. These people that are attending this specific BlizzCon in the US don't care about mobile games. They should have waited, absolutely, but they didn't. And this is the sad part. So he comes out and he's trying to talk about this game, full knowing that he's going to get backlash because of A, where he is, the area, B, the community that he has, and C, the fact that they don't have anything else prepared except this mobile game for Diablo. So he already knew. But the crowd was horrible. I don't know if you guys remember actually hearing this, but yeah, it was. It was absolutely a disaster. People were so mean. You could hear people booing like, it was horrible. It was absolutely horrible. And then, you know, they opened up the floor to questions, and every single person was asking about either D4, if they were if they were in any development for D4, or if this mobile game was a joke. And regardless of anything, regardless of the fact that they weren't expecting a mobile game, regardless of this guy having to go out and tell people, you know, yeah, and people were mad about D3 going to console, that as well, and Red Shirt Guy, they should have left. They should have. They could have done a lot of things better. That's what I'm saying. I'm not defending him about that. I'm just saying that the way the community spoke back to him was really, really, was like super shitty. So this poor guy is listening to all of these people. He's trying to answer all of these questions. And the dev team still made a pretty fucking cool game. Like, people that actually play it now are like, dude, this is actually pretty cool. It's not what we wanted, but it's not bad either. Once they were done being salty. No, he shouldn't have expected everyone to be thrilled. That's what I'm saying. No, it was condescending. That's what I'm saying. Or people who have looked at it is what I'm saying. They think that it's a really cool game. Like, now that they've actually been done being salty, was what I meant. So, should he have retaliated? No. But at the same time, this was bad. This was really bad. A lot of people are going to try it out. That's what I'm saying. Like, people have rewatched this. I know. He should have. But it was bad. It was bad. But it was bad on both parts. And I kind of, as horrible as it was, especially for him to be the spokesperson, it was bad. But at the same time, I get why he said it, but that's because I'm a really sarcastic person anyway, so I get it. But being a PR person, he definitely shouldn't have said that. You can be my new babysitter, that's fine. It was a really stupid business move, absolutely. No, they shouldn't have okayed the project ahead of D4, or if they were going to okay the project ahead of D4, they should have come out and said that they were working on it. They should have come out and said that they actually had, progress on D4, but this is what they have at the moment. Or not said anything at all and just released it. That could have worked as well. Or left it out of the whole BlizzCon was bad. Like, legitimately, all of BlizzCon was bad. It was bad that year. Like, it was bad. I think the only thing that I was excited about, yeah, it was definitely a cash grab, BlizzCon. Didn't they have the trailer though? Like they didn't really have anything there, but didn't they have the BFA trailer, or was that not even ready yet? Or was that earlier? Yeah, the Warcraft 3 remaster. Was it? I thought it was the BFA trailer. Or was this the year after? I remember this specifically. Which, yes! That's the thing! Like, it was already out? Okay. I couldn't remember. And what was even better, what's even funnier, is that the BlizzCon before this, when they actually showed the BFA trailer, I was legit excited for it. I was like, dude, they're going to bring back World PvP. They're going to bring back everything, you know, with just, you know, the squabble between the Horde and the Alliance, and they're going to make it relevant to the lore again, and it's going to be great. And then it ended up being shit until they tried to fix the lore super post-endgame. So it's just like they've definitely messed up. I agree. I agree with this YouTuber. They definitely messed up. Am I willing to give up on the game yet? Absolutely not. But I guess at the same time, though, I think he was trying to show like the difference between the devs for 14 and you know, anything that Blizzard has, which I get for trying to make your video relevant. But at the same time, what does this have anything to do with people who play 14 being weebs? Like, that's what the video was about, right? So, why is this even... Yeah, oh, but you have to grind old content, yep. And you still have to do that. It's funny. Then it turned into lead, yeah. No, I understand what the idea of putting it in the video was about. I get it. But the relevancy to whether or not people are furries that play WoW compared to whether or not they're weebs that play 14, it isn't really shown here. Blizzard fails again. So, but I just wanted to touch on that because I feel like a lot of people really don't know what actually happened. Like, do I condone that? No. And I think it's really great that one of the first things that happens when you get to the Crystarium is you're given this phone, and they actually like make a joke about it. But still.
Oh my god, he just ran in.
He did say WoW players are neckbeards and 14 players are weebs.
Over the years, mostly
but
by
I like
the simple
both.
absence of
It's
knowledge
okay.
and experience.
You can be a neckbeard,
so let us
it's cool.
delve into the common perception of Final Fantasy XIV's player base being weebs.
And to be honest,
impartially said,
he's
weebs
not wrong.
or weeaboos are described as people who take their enjoyment of Japanese culture a bit too far. And while I personally don't have any issues with that, this mostly transposes a negative tone, and I want to clear
Who
things
cares
up
what
with
game
this
someone
video.
likes?
So let me show you
I
why
don't
this
know, I just thought it'd be
discussion
fun to watch
has
the
been
video
brought
because
back live,
a bunch
or why
of people
this is
linked
still a
this to me
relevant
like
topic,
8 times.
which directly leads us to
So I
Mr.
thought it would be fun.
Asmongold and his community. For those of you who may have never heard of him,
You
he's
shave your
one of the
neckbeard?
most popular World of Warcraft streamers
You
that
can be both.
impersonates a character he established by himself and
If you're
creates
both, you're,
influence
like,
over a
super
vast
evolved.
audience that feels home in the WoW-centered but also widespread MMO sector. No matter if you like or hate him, we cannot deny the fact that comments of a streamer with a superior qualified audience than some game developers
He
have
does
on their
he
live
does talk
streams
about that, but
will in fact have a significant impact onto the subjects they are talking about.
But what I did like about his video, because I watched the whole thing, I watched his whole reaction to the Zeppelin video, which, regardless of what anyone says, is really, really good PR for Zeppla. Like, that is awesome. Plus, he also tells his chat to not be douchebags while he's watching the video and trying to react to it and actually listen to what she's saying. And also, that he only had a couple of things to complain about it. He complained about the whole cat girl thing and people being weebs and how overprotective the community was. Right. I know. That's why I was saying that disclaimer, I actually do like Asmon. He did make it better. That's what I'm saying. It was great. Yeah, exactly.
So
we'll
here's
finish
what
this.
Asmongold said while reacting to a video
missed
that
a
a
couple of
famous
things the
creator of
first
our
time I had
community
this
made when she
playing,
lost her
so-
passion with WoW and transferred it into the Final Fantasy XIV universe.
So the cat girl thing, I'm not sold on the cat girl thing, okay? Like, that's kind of... This right here, I'm really... It's super hard for
And
me
to be
say,
fair,
I'll put the video, right?
I
It's super
actually
hard for me
wasn't
to say
sold
that
on the cat girl
it's
thing
not-
either when
it's
I
not
first
a
started
Weeb game,
playing.
you know? Watch-
I don't know
is
how
this
many
game for
people
weebs? Is
have
this game full of
actually
weebs?
watched me since I started
that's probably
playing.
a good way to look at it, I would
But
say.
when I started
Surely,
playing,
a game
I
being
played
produced by a
a here.
Japanese developer
So I
cannot
was the
hide
most
from its cultural
basic,
background and all the
basic
side effects
human
this
character
brings
that
with.
you could possibly
But to be fair,
when I
that can be
started
said
playing.
about any game, any piece of art,
Oh,
music,
yeah, for sure.
or whatever your
And
impetus
now I'm a
cerebrum
cat
can
girl,
produce.
exactly.
And surely those people with a high
A year's worth of
sensitivity
playing,
for
and now
Japanese
I'm a cat
culture,
girl.
animes, or video game
Absolutely.
history will likely connect to these circumstances, and they will joyfully embrace combining their taste
I'm
in
pretty,
MMOs
I'm pretty
with this
basic.
Japanese
Yeah,
context,
I actually
where Final
had
Fantasy XIV
pumpkin spice
definitely is
coffee
among the
earlier.
most
Basic white bitch
popular
at your
and one,
service.
if not the most well received in addition to that. Okay, we have Mikotis, which are the cat girls in Final Fantasy XIV that are linked
And
to
I have
anime
pumpkin
culture or
spice steak.
anything like that. But while not being a hardcore manga or anime enthusiast, I honestly cannot remember where I have seen cat girls in the latest anime I watched. These are primarily taken place in high schools or universities,
She's
so
basically
I
pretty
could
awesome.
also come around
Wait,
with,
me?
hey student Sarah, you're at high school, right? Oh, that's some weird anime shit you're running there. And above that, did you check out Allied Races, dear Asmongold? These can
This
easily
is the
be put
Desperius
into
video.
the fun with furries sector than anything we have in Final Fantasy
I've
XIV.
been kind
And
of
while we
talking
still have
about each
potatoes,
portion
aka
of the Desperius
Lalafell,
video.
WoW
I
had
actually,
gnomes since the
after this,
first
I was
day
thinking
that
about
look
looking at
easily
some
as
other stuff that
goofy
he
and
has.
stupid as
I like
you
his
would imagine
voice.
a Lalafell to be.
I like that
And
German
damn,
accent.
at least our potatoes are animated cutely and not like Super
Oh yeah,
Mario
he
that
does
has
flame.
lost some
He does
chromosomes
flame
that he
furries. That's
actually
what I'm
never had.
saying. That
But
was one of
truth
the
to be
things that I
told,
mentioned
there's
earlier
definitely
when
some coherent attraction to Final
Desperius
Fantasy
mentioned it.
XIV's world and content, that you may stumble over the one or the other Japan maniac. But honestly, in general that is not harmful in any way, as sharing the passion for something is good, right? And on the other side, discontent
I
is also
think
able
I
to connect
actually
people. Like
used
Asmongold
that
said
top
many
on my
times, the
white
best
mage.
about the WoW community is
I
the
think
fact
that's part
that
of my
they
white
merge
mage
into a
glamour.
swarm cluster when it
But
comes
I
to
don't remember
bashing
what
the
color
shit
it
out
is.
of the game
What-
they
does
play.
anybody know
So
what
even
skirt
hate
that
can
is?
create company. And while I don't consider
Legitimately
weebs as a
watching
threat
a
to the
video
Final
about
Fantasy community or their
if
public
14
image
is
and
for weebs and I'm
self-reflection,
going, can I get
my
that
guesses
skirt?
are that another very special feature about Final Fantasy XIV attracts them. And this is actually something I would support to 100%.
A watermelon? It's a
namely
pet.
A good
It's a
story
watermelon
which is
pet.
the defining factor
His voice
that
is
separates
soothing. Hey,
anime
Lion,
from
what's
the
up?
usual vampire
I don't like
diaries.
gnomes either.
Sorry girls, but if you want
I don't
a good
like gnomes
vampire
or
story, check out Hellsing
mechagnomes
or Bram
or anything.
Stoker's
The only
Dracula.
reason that I actually
And while
like
I don't like having
dwarves
the focus on teenagers
is
fighting
because their
demons with
starting
magical
zone is
powers
hella
while learning
cool.
for their high school
Like,
diploma,
it's one of the
plot
only
and presentation
places
of some anime
where
movies or series
the-
are way ahead of the usual Hollywood
the
nonsense.
actual lore
So it's more
behind
likely
the
character
race is
development,
actually
plot presentation,
in-game
and connectivity to
and
the world
not
you're
in a
deeply
book.
related
And
with.
yes, it's
That
cool with
draws
all the
the
snow,
line between Final
absolutely.
Fantasy and
But they
anime,
talk about the
which is
trogs
driving
being the
force for
first
these
triad
so-called
dwarves.
weebs. That brings us
And
to
they
the
talk
number one
about
tip and
like
conclusion of this
Alduar.
topic.
It's amazing.
Always
Yeah, and wow.
encounter people with limited focus on your personal stage of prejudice. Because even the craziest weeb can be the nicest guy you will ever meet in your life.
The
or in
Curse
game.
of Flesh,
If you
yep.
don't talk shit about his enemy, of course. But it
And
could
then
happen.
and you
So
could even
never
go on to
generalize
say like
these
with all of the
aspects onto
Alduar
each
stuff, like
person
everything
to
that
avoid
happened
the
with
creation of
Loken.
biased injustice.
And,
by the way,
what
here
was
in
her name?
Germany,
Sif?
not all people are Nazis, okay? Just in fact you didn't know that.
I
So
don't
whatever
remember
kind of
who
person
Sif
you are,
was
weeb,
actually, like,
neckbeard, or Mr. Star Trek
what
wedding,
the dude's name
whenever
was that
you're
she was
passionate
actually
about
with,
something,
but
go
her
for
and
it.
Loken
don't
had a
let others
thing.
ruin that
Then she
enjoyment,
ends up getting
as long as you're not
killed.
ruining theirs with your fanaticism.
And then
And for those of you that
Yaxaran
can
ends
only
up,
encounter
like,
those people with anger and disgust,
taking
remember,
over
there are two things
her,
a person should never
essentially,
be angry at.
and making
what they
Loken
can
think that
help
he's, like,
and what they
talking to
cannot.
her.
So thank you guys for watching, and I hope I
And
can help
everything
you with
he
some
does,
Final
he
Fantasy
like
content
Sarah.
in
Yes,
the
thank you.
future
It's
or in
Sif in
another
the
video.
it's Sif
But
in the
of course,
raid.
if you want to talk with
Like
me
when you
about
actually
Plato,
fight
Kant, or
Yaxaran, it's
Asmongold,
Sif. But yeah,
check me out
Sarah.
on Twitch for all sorts of Final Fantasy content. Until then, stay safe, stay healthy, and keep loving Final Fantasy.
I like him. Does anybody know any other videos like that they would recommend by him? We can check some other stuff out. Best stats and melds for all jobs. Best MMO. Mouse. Guild making videos. I want to see like other like stuff that he compares like 14 and WoW. That's fun. I love stuff like that because I love commenting on it. Oh, Sif is with Loken? Okay, gotcha. I am looking. Ooh, 14 versus World of Warcraft 2020 edition. All right. I can read. Hold on. Damn. I wasn't looking at my screen. Hold on. We have to wait for the ad.
For a long time.
We'll promote his channel. We'll give him some ad revenue. All right, here we go. I know. Wow. I really have become a React dandy, haven't I?
Welcome to another comparison video, in which we want to find out the best traits of World of Warcraft and Final Fantasy XIV, which means the clash of these games continues. So here we stand to make another decision on which game takes the ultimate lead of the MMO sector this time. Above that, I want to address the many significant changes to both games, as well as some speculations and presumptions on how they could change even further. Let the battles begin. The first category we want to compare is actually the most important, especially in this year, so without further ado, let us begin with it. Why not liking and playing both in coexistence? Yes, I'm sorry, but with such an infuriating topic and comparison, it just doesn't feel right for me after all these troublesome events we had to face this year. Let both MMO worlds and communities unite, because you cannot rate one game without having granted a chance to the other. So let me try to highlight some of the best aspects without bashing
I like this about this though. Yes, thank you for posting that. It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing.
Stand an opinion without
and that sounds good. Have a nice night, Zach. I'll be back on tomorrow. You know my schedule.
Nonetheless, first of all, combat system and gameplay. What makes each game special?
See, I like that he's actually talking about the pluses of both,
though. The ultimate feeling of true reactiveness. That means, especially for things like player versus player combat, your clicking input,
can you guys hear what he's saying, by the way?
Signals are kinda registered directly by WoW's engine. That, along with the possibility to use trinkets, cooldowns and all these things bound together in a macro, is something I really like to be capable of. On the other hand, I really love the complexity of Final Fantasy XIV's battle system, where even crafters have rotation. But the battle system since Heaven's Blood became so complex that you literally have to look up videos or guides to know which ability you should use in which order.
Shut up, I don't mean about me talking over him, I was talking about the fucking audio.
It starts off really slowly, but at level 60 or higher, things are getting amazing.
Enjoy proper teabag.
That directly leads us to player versus player combat. Hands down, this is where World of Warcraft still shines brighter than most games. And even when counting down some of the flaws of the balancing and those corruption shenanigans, it is still very enjoyable, especially for being creative. At the moment, I'm pushing hard my Protection Paladin in a double DPS combo for Arena, and I mostly enjoy all games from the matter of surprise, that my enemy always consider me as a tank. But it turns out that I'm a bulky and bursty damage healer.
I wasn't expecting that.
Combos and builds
and he likes H-Pal.
I returned
he has scored points with
me.
I like this guy.
WoW for seeing its development in Shadowlands.
I assumed that even though he was giving some credit to WoW, that this was going to be like that he was going to have in the end credits that
cannot be bad, right?
He got like someone else's. Really? We have an ad right in the middle of it? Are you kidding me?
That's the sound of true friendship.
Okay, there we go.
I
assumed that it was going to be like someone else's POV, and that he was going to thank them at the end credits. You know what I mean? I wasn't expecting him to actually have played WoW. That's cool.
Drastically reduced the complexity of skills.
And currently, as well.
I'm honestly believing if Square will have more people joining the community,
I don't use adblock because I like to actually support the people whose videos I watch.
But of course,
I like to give them
there
the
are already many people that enjoy some Final Fantasy PvP as well. And if you don't compare it directly to WoW, you should easily be able to have some fun with it. Okay, what would be a game without PvE content? Which means
in 5 wins it actually has PvP.
Open worlds and other fights against AI-generated NPCs.
I've only done a couple of
it wouldn't be a MMO game. So here are the strengths of both games. Starting with Final Fantasy this time, I really like that content can be enjoyed without most forms of trash enemies, which just cost time and you can easily focus on one boss. And even when some people don't like the individual fighting system.
We're gonna pause this here. Because one of the things that I actually dislike for the difference for this is that I like the idea of going into a full instance and fighting trash to get to the boss and then having to work on that boss and then having the lockout include going through that whole raid. So it's kind of funny that his view is the exact opposite. Like, he doesn't like wasting time on trash. He likes that you queue in for every single boss. That is cool. That's actually kind of neat. That he feels that way. Because I feel the exact opposite. That, and like, as much as I love 14, I don't like that every single room is either a square or a circle, and you can either fall off the side of the platform, or if you run into the edges, essentially you die. And binding coils with trash mobs, yep. Yep, this is Desperia. I should do Baldesion Arsenal. Your chat isn't showing up? A lot of people have been complaining about that. That either their chat is lagging, or the stream is lagging, or whatever. Or their chat isn't showing up. I don't know if there's an issue with Twitch right now, but it sounds like it. It blew up. Huh, funny. Okay, sorry. We'll play.
You can encounter
play this again.
when fighting against a single boss instead of clearing a whole raid. On the side of time management, this is the best thing I have ever seen in any online game. Above that, mechanics are introduced to all players by visual indication and by
That's
a
not what I
common mechanic
meant.
language that you learn over time and when progressing into the game's content. But I don't think that this makes raiding not competitive. Far from it, competition is strong here, and especially by the
Right,
second
the 24
aspect of
mans do,
taking
but
the
I'm talking about the
complex
highest tier of
nearly all
content.
jobs into these savage
So
or
it's weird
ultimate
for me to
fights
queue for
can
every
turn
single
out
boss
as the
for
heaviest
Savage.
challenge you could face. There are many people that came over from World of Warcraft's mythic content and truly believe that Final Fantasy's Ultimate is just another level to this. But if you really want to make up a decision, go for both and test it. In either community, you'll find people that will participate in that adventure.
Absolutely, I like that he says that.
PvE
Go for
content,
both.
I really like this Mythic Plus dungeon system. The pure freedom of enter scaling is something I would love to see being introduced to Final Fantasy as well, because I mostly enjoy low-size group content over those with too many people. So the theory is great.
I just
and
love
even
that he
when
plays
items may
HPAL.
be too strong at the moment sometimes, I really like the idea, and I hope that something like this will be introduced to Final Fantasy's dungeon systems as well.
Which
Another
is funny,
thing that I really
because
like,
I
while
actually-
still think the
I
early
don't
progress
like
into
the
the
loot
system
system
could be
for WoW
improved
right now.
are horrific
I would
visions
rather
of
like
Stormwind
go
or
back
Orgrimmar
to the normal
that you can
drops and
completely
use my
solo
master
clear
loot
at a certain stage
with
of
like
your
RC
upgraded
Loot
build,
Council or
while
DKP
also
or whatever.
having these masks serving as the scaling factor.
But
I would love to see higher stages with even
But I
better
do prefer
rewards offer
actually going
additional
into a
currency.
full dungeon
of
and having
course, something
to
similar in
traverse
Shadowlands, as
the
these
whole
visions will
dungeon
naturally
rather than
be
queuing
removed.
for every single
The
boss.
same goes for Final Fantasy XIV's new relic weapons and armor, introduced
I don't
in
like Mythic
Shadowbringers.
Plus,
From
actually.
speculations and recent info, it could become a content like this, where you are able to play it completely on your own and only have slight advantages when joining a group. Which is what many players
50-50?
have always wished for, so I'm positively excited to witness those changes. So far so good. What about story? This is where Final Fantasy shines over most
Dude, I
MMOs
play a
and
bard
even
and a
over many
frost mage.
single-player games.
I have no
I know,
problem
you
with
heard it
RNG.
many times, then played it into the game and hated those A Realm Reborn Aftermath quests. But they have been heavily revamped as confirmed by the 5.3 patch notes
Ooh,
already.
I like that he
So
mentions
give
that
it a
ARR
chance.
has been
Enjoy the
revamped
game,
for
and if you
like more new
consider
people to try
also
out the
play a
game.
single-player-like
Because a lot of
presentation
people would
the
get to those
story,
post-ARR
this is the
quests and
best
they would stop
combination
playing.
of it.
Because
Apart
they
from my
didn't like having to go
personal issue
through all
with
of
WoW
that, so
story
it's
development and
neat that he
presentation,
mentions that.
I really think they are trying their best to make it work. And many people liked Legion storytelling and the start of Battle for Azeroth. So while having a very awesome and complex lore and character development through all the years and different games, WoW's story shouldn't be underestimated, even when mostly being presented through videos. But to be fair and give a small punch to WoW as well,
This is actually
if you're
kind of
looking for a
spoiler for
nice
me because
story,
I haven't
check out
done a
videos
lot of
lore
the
content
post
creators on
BFA
WoW,
quests
or look for different
because I
games.
stopped during Heroic Deer.
You're not a dish.
Oh my god.
You're a man. Most name brand bars and body washes you rub on.
Last but not least, character development and gear. When it comes to customization on the section of gear optimization,
And I hated the
fine-tuning,
neck.
and finding a certain
I'm so
build for
glad
your character
14
or job,
doesn't do shit
World
like
of Warcraft
this.
has such a complex system with all these Azerite traits, essences, corruption
cry.
affixes,
Oh, I'm
and
sorry.
more. Even when being bound to annoying RNG factors, they can easily get
I mean,
you
go
on
ahead
track
and compare it
grant
to
motivation
ESO.
to
I've
farm
never
a certain
played
piece of
ESO,
gear
but
or
I
optimize specific
would listen to your
corruption
comparison
traits,
or read
etc.
your comparison
However,
rather.
what I like about Final Fantasy is that gearing may be quite
fanboy so
straightforward,
hard.
but how you develop your character takes that to another level. I know, graphical quality and flavors are mostly dependent on subjectivity, but to be honest, characters, especially from looking at the details, look way more worked out, and my joy
Yeah.
in finding glamour sets from
It does look like there's a
jobs
lot
that you
more
can play
work
on a
in,
single character keeps me way more interested in the true
Especially in
endgame
the
than
glamour
it
for
does in WoW.
14.
For example,
Like
I'm
when
still
they
wearing
had that
tier 2
surprise for
paladin
Yoshi P
skirt
that
like
there were
many
some
paladins
helms
do.
that
So
Viera
if you're
would be able
interested
to
in
wear
that,
when he thought that they
Final
weren't
Fantasy
going to
could
be able
the
to wear
better
any.
option. But that directly
And they
brings
work
us
so
back
hard
to the
on it to
starting
make sure
point
that
of
it
this
looks
video.
good on
Why not
essentially
both?
every single
If you manage
race.
to get your characters to endgame level in both games, your weekly checklist isn't very extensive. And most of the times, you can solve all important
It is
content
endgame
the
after
game
all.
requires you to do on a weekly
They
basis
probably do
in
think.
some
I
hours.
mean,
And if that is secured, you're free to take part in whatever content
I'm not
you
very
like.
girly,
You can
so
even go crazy queue for a battleground, while